Grief would smack me out of nowhere at the most inconvenient times.
Oh,
In a matatu.
in a matatu.
In the supermarket.
When you're
In
seeing a mother
meeting.
and a daughter walking.
In the what? At the mall.
At the mall.
Yeah.
Oh my God. At
Or family
KFC.
gatherings where people stand with their mothers. Hey everybody, we're back again with a mini episode of Grief Angels podcast, and today we're doing something a little bit exciting where we're trying to create awareness around things that nobody ever told us that would come after death and around grief, like things nobody ever told me, right? So we're going to read something and react, and I'm joined here by my lovely friend Koki, who's going to help me read and react. Koki,
Hello.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so nobody ever told me there's so much paperwork after someone dies. My goodness. Like, can we begin with burial permits and death certificates and the nightmare that it's getting that thing out, and succession and lawyer documents, and there's just too much paperwork that nobody ever told you. At least for me, there was a lot of paperwork for each of these losses. Yeah.
Paperwork is insane. I think for me, the worst was a burial permit that you can't lose. Because if you lose, you can't bury.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, you can't get the death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like some treasure that you had to protect.
Yeah.
And I'm grieving, I'm handling, planning, and how to protect a golden piece of document that
Yeah.
is this small.
Yeah.
Paperwork is a lot. The death certificate process, I think that someone should really
Make it
amend that
easier.
process. I'm wondering, hasn't anybody that high in governance and policy lost
Ever lost
someone,
someone and needed
or maybe
it?
they knew, so I don't
They
know
knew
what happened.
someone.
And I just know that you have to go there and the systems are down.
Yeah.
And you have to, somebody even wants to ask you for a bribe and you're grieving, like,
Yeah. I remember one chief who denied us a burial permit and we had to get it from another chief. And I'm like, chiefs still have so much power. Like, oh my gosh. We are literally in the middle of grief and you're...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Next.
no one told me that grief doesn't progress in stages.
Yep.
I think I saw this Instagram post that was saying that some nights you go through all stages of grief at the same time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think you've gone through, let's say, denial, and now you're in acceptance, and the next day you're in shock.
Back in
like,
shock.
What do you mean?
How'd they get back
So
here?
I think it's not really a straight line. It's
not.
a zigzag and
It's
a
not.
messy.
You bounce back through all the
Yeah,
stages.
there is no stage.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody ever told me that grief would affect my sleep so much. Yeah. And I think for me, but it's two things. One, trying to close my eyes meant I would see the person who I've lost, and I didn't want that because I'm like, seeing them sort of confirms that they're not here. But I was also just very afraid. I felt like I was also going to die if I closed my eyes. So then that messes up with my sleep system, and I just couldn't sleep for a very long time. I was sleeping for like an hour, and then you're back to crying. Sleep again, and then you're back to crying. Yeah.
I'd say for me, I think I really love sleeping. Let's just start from there.
So you slept?
So honestly, my sleep was just, I really slept.
Yeah.
I think what I struggled with was getting to sleep, because I'd spend that time when it's quiet, you're alone, thinking about your person and crying.
Yeah.
So you sleep late. I think that was the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see why people take sleeping pills, because you've been through it the whole day, and every waking moment, the reality hits you, and you just are not able to sleep. And then when you close your eyes, you're like, I can't, let me just take a sleeping pill. Not very healthy, but I see why people do that.
Nobody ever told me that I would be so angry. Rose, I was angry.
You are?
I was angry, and I was almost always 1 second close to just exploding, and I was very irritable.
Yeah.
And I remember at some point, I'll never apologize to my friends. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I was mean, but I was really going through it, and you just react.
Yeah.
And I was very angry. I still are very angry.
Yeah.
We just learn how to control it.
I have one.
Yeah.
Nobody ever told me funerals are expensive. Like, the person is already dead. We've gone through it, especially if you've gone through like an illness and it's drained everything you have, and there's even maybe a hospital bill. But my goodness, I've seen some pretty expensive funerals out there.
Yeah.
And I guess depending on where you are in society, I've seen budgets of 3 million for a funeral. I've seen budgets of 100,000 for a funeral. But yeah, funerals are expensive, and nobody is ever ready for this stuff. Even when we know that we are all gonna die, nobody's ever ready for it.
I think that's the one part we didn't plan, budget.
I know.
Like we just thought, I don't know, we just don't think about how expensive it is. And I remember looking at the Excel sheet and just thinking,
where is this money coming
this
from?
costs that much.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's very expensive.
Coffins are very expensive.
Coffins can be expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flowers are expensive.
Flowers are ridiculously expensive.
And you almost need the flowers. Yep. You cannot say, okay, you're to
we need that.
Yeah.
We need everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. Nobody ever told me about friends now that I would feel guilty for not supporting other friends enough when they grieved before I had gone through or before I realized what grief is like.
You really don't know.
Until it
you
happens
really
to
don't
you.
know.
Yeah.
And you're busy telling them things like, oh, it is well.
They're in a better place.
I look back and the things I said and I feel so bad because I did not know any better. I think what that did, it's also allowed me to give so much grace to people who say those kind of words to me because they don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know. And going forward, I think you're very empathetic too. When someone loses their loved one, the way you show up, you almost have a guide of this is how I wish someone showed up for me. Or this is how the people who I love showed up for me because my friend showed up.
Yeah.
And you almost have like a formula almost.
Yeah. That's really cool. Do you have one?
Yes. Nobody ever told me that I wouldn't be better in a year. I'm not just at the year mark, I'm almost.
Yeah.
But I have days where I think this is worse.
Yeah.
You think that time will make it better, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sits harder that you mean. This is actually real. And sometimes I just sit and tell God, yaikwa jokes.
I know.
Like
yaikwa jokes. It actually happened.
It actually happened.
Yeah. Very close to that is nobody ever told me that the hardest days come long after the funeral. Yeah.
When everyone leaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone leaves. People are packed in your house, in your compound. You are busy serving tea. You are busy planning, doing, and then it goes silent.
I keep saying that funeral week or that burial prep week is like a project that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a project plan. We have a committee. We have a budget. We're working towards something. Has this video checking of things, the item. The day comes and goes, and then quiet.
Yeah. Now you've been fired from your project management.
You're no longer a project manager.
Yeah.
Now you're back to the reality of, hiya, what did we just do? We buried my mom.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends, and I think for us, at least for me, my mom was a single mom, and it was just my mom, myself, and my brother, and the silence was loud.
Yeah.
I almost felt like there was an echo in the house, and it just felt empty, and the texts reduced, the calls reduced, and now it's almost a few months in, and sometimes people assume
you guys are fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
And it's like people like moved on in their life, and I'm not angry at that because I mean they were not as close to my person as I was.
Yeah.
But I haven't moved, and things have moved.
Yeah. Nobody ever told me people would get back to their day-to-day lives long before I would. And it would shock me that life could go on as if things were normal.
The shock.
Yeah. How dare you continue with your life?
And funny thing, it was my birthday was 3 days after I lost my mom.
Oh, really?
And I'm thinking, did anybody sing happy birthday? There's nothing happy about this. And the fact that life goes on, the birds are still chirping, the sun is still rising, like things are still
life hasn't
moving.
stopped, and everything for you has stopped.
Everything has stopped. Things are moving. I think nowadays when I work, I look at a document sometimes, I'm seeing edited on 16th May. I think you are working
on 16th May.
Like things moved, and I can't be angry about it, but I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody ever told me that some days I would wish I had died too. And I'm not a bad person for feeling that way.
No, you're not.
And I am not saying that I'm suicidal.
No, you're not.
It feels like my life almost ended when she took her last breath. And sometimes I wonder, I mean, what's this life? What's there? Like, there's no joy, there's nothing.
And you wish you went with her.
You wish you went with her. And this life, it feels very tasteless.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I really wish. Sometimes dying is not a bad idea, but I just
I
have
know.
to hold myself and
Yeah.
remind myself that
Yeah.
she'd want me to keep
I
moving.
know. Nobody ever told me social media would feel so complicated. I couldn't be able to navigate Instagram.
Yeah.
And I remember logging off or deactivating or something after my brother died last year. I just didn't want, I felt like so much pressure, and I felt like the whole world was watching me, trying to see what it is that I'm doing or how I'm grieving or how I just wanted quiet.
Yeah.
So I had to log off, and then you come in and you see now life continuing for other
Yeah.
people. And, oh my gosh, you went to Mombasa. Oh, nice, you went to South Africa. Like, what? So
Yeah.
it felt so overwhelming and complicated. I had to log off. Yeah.
Social media. I'd say for me, social media, I get the feeling of pressure.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you can't even just post a funny meme.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Because
I'm
are you
supposed to be
saying
sad.
you're well?
Like, am I well?
Yeah.
And almost some people almost assuming that you've moved on and you've healed,
I know
and
what you're saying.
you've not. And it's just those things. I'm just funny, guys. Like I
Yeah.
just like posting funny things, but I'm really not okay.
And the humor actually really helps.
Yeah,
Finding humor in
it
things
really
actually
helps.
helps.
It really
keep you
helps.
sane.
It keeps you sane.
Yeah.
And social media also can make you feel this pressure, like you need to be okay. Like nobody else is talking about the grief they're going through. Everybody is happy. People don't show.
We show our happy moments.
Yeah.
And our celebratory moments. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, so I think for me, I decided that for me, my social media is my Instagram.
Yeah.
I choose to who I keep in my Instagram and my space. Therefore, if I want to show you my grief, if it's too boring, you're gonna have to leave. But I'm gonna express. This is my place. It's my home.
Okay.
Yeah.
We take maybe two more.
Yep.
I can go. Nobody ever told me that it would be awkward to talk about my loved one. Especially to people who have not gone through what you've gone through. You feel like if I bring up my mom, I'm going to make them uncomfortable. They don't know how to react.
Yeah.
Then also, they don't give me space. Nobody asks you about her. They might ask you, how are you? But nobody asks you, when they say, who did you lose? I lost my mom. Oh, okay. When was this? 2015. Okay. And nobody asks you, how was she like?
Yeah, I wish people ask that.
Yeah.
I want to really
talk to me about her.
it.
Nobody says those things. And you almost have to hide and say, okay. Yeah. Or maybe they walk around eggshells. They say, oh, my brother is my brother. That. And like, Rose's brother died and we can't talk about our brothers, So, yeah.
Or when they say, no, my mom, it's almost like, oh sorry.
Maybe I should not bring that up. Yeah.
But I think for me, I decided I'm going to talk about my mom. If you don't give me the space, I'm going to say, also, my mom used to, because she was.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say she is,
yeah.
but her energy still is.
Yeah.
And I wish people would ask, how was she like? How was that like?
It's okay to keep talking about them,
and
even
we
if
laugh.
it makes people uncomfortable.
We love talking about them.
Yeah, just talk about them. Yeah.
Nobody
the very last one especially
ever told me that you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
Even though grief can make you feel that way.
Yeah.
I think the person who told me this was my therapist.
Yeah.
Because I had to go back for sessions of, I think I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I think I'm not okay. And you don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't think people, unless also, I think also after I joined the support group and someone else saying, me too.
That validates what you're feeling.
Yeah, it made me validate that I'm not crazy. And whatever I'm feeling, somebody else is feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody ever told me that some days would feel completely normal, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
And I'd be able to go on with life, and then the next day I would crash.
Yeah.
And the next day I would go on with life as normal, as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that's also okay, because there's also a lot of guilt on how can I have a good day where I haven't had a griefy moment? How can I go through a day like that? You almost feel guilty, yet your person died. But it's also absolutely normal. As hard as it might be, you can actually make room for joy in your life.
Yeah, I think the two can exist. I think for me, what really empowered that point and brought that point home was in the support group when I saw you, your sister, and other people who've lost their mothers specifically a long time ago, I'd say, because mine was still very fresh. And seeing that you're laughing
like 2-3 months
after
she died.
Sometimes people who lost their mom 5, 8, 10 years ago,
still a smile.
And you're smiling. I'm like, so one day I'm going to smile. I think that thing gave me hope that I'm going to be okay. And some days can be okay. And I think for me, those days when they're okay, I really laugh. I say, today I'm feeling okay.
Yeah.
I have fun because I know a day is coming.
Yeah. What about this one? Grief would smack me out of nowhere at the most inconvenient times. In a matatu. In the supermarket.
When you're seeing a mother and a daughter walking.
In the what? At the mall?
At the mall?
Yeah.
Oh my God. At
family gatherings where people stand with their mothers.
Last a few weeks ago, we went for our first family gathering
Yeah.
after the loss.
Yeah.
And I think it was a happy moment. My grandmother's birthday, it's very celebratory.
Yeah.
But then just having, this was the daughter to the late.
Yeah. I
It's
know.
like-
I know. We did that with my grandfather's birthday in August, and every family had to stand there, and we're like,
With your,
it was me and my
with your
sister.
parents, who is connecting you
And
to
I'm
the...
like, it's me and my sister. We look at each other like, yeah.
Sisi ni wanani?
Anyway, the point
Yeah.
is, guys, you will never forget the sound of their voice. That one you'll never forget.
Yeah.
So even if nobody tells you, you will not forget the sound of their voice. You will remember all the little things. You will miss them. You'll cry. You'll have good days. You'll have bad days. Grief is a lot of work, but you can get through it. That's the point. Even if nobody tells you that, we are telling you that.
And you have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
You have to go through grief.
You have to deal with
You
it
cannot
too.
succumb. You know, you can't go around
you can't
it.
go around it. You have to like go through the murky waters with all the crocodiles in them. You literally have to swim through that to get out of the other side, where you're not okay and good now, but you have survived. You will survive. Even if it feels like you're right in the middle of it and everything feels impossible and hard, you will get through it.
Yeah.
And join a support group.
Join it.
You should.
It saved me.
It did.
It really
Thank
did.
you so much for spending time with us. I hope this episode has been helpful to you or to somebody you know. Share it. It's very important to continue to create awareness around grief. Peace and bye.
Yeah.